Before you do get started, I just want to make sure everyone wears their mask while they're in here at all times. That's all that I ask.
All right. Good evening. So thanks for coming. Tonight I'm doing things a little bit different than I did last week. Last time that I was here. So what I'm gonna do this evening is start with the questions first. I don't have an agenda. I do want to take the time to have the elected officials that are representing themselves as residents of Sauk Village to ask questions that they were not able to ask at the last forum that I had. So and then from there, we can go into, I can address any questions that the residents has, and then I can give you an update of what I feel is going on with the finance department and the finance team. So if Mrs. Williams or Mrs. Brewer would like to ask questions, please do, and I will address those questions.
Do we need to stand up?
No, I can hear.
Well, I got a couple of questions and really on a personal note, because of something you said last time, and because I think forums like this should be open to the public and they should hear what people want to say. But on the personal note between us, last time we talked about the relationship between the employees and the trustees. And now, from my perspective is that I have never had a problem with Shanice, with the payroll administrator or the assistant finance director. I mean, we have a a conversation. I have never seen them get upset with anything I've asked, anything. I hate to see them because they bring all those sweets with them, pastries and stuff. But other than that, I've never done. But you said you had, the trustees were giving them a hard time. So I would like you to elaborate on that because I haven't seen it, and maybe I'm just missing something because I have never had any problems with them, and I doubt if they had any problems with me. So that's something that really I just didn't understand when you said trustees. About me as an individual. Trustee Brewer, that's what I'm talking about.
So let me, and I'll address that. I don't tend to really speak, I take that letter. I speak on behalf of the ladies in the finance department because, like I said, I think they are my working sisters. You have to understand, people are fearful of their jobs in this climate. I, for one, am not. I believe I have enough family members that will take care of my mortgage, my kids' school, and my car if need be. Everybody don't have that luxury. So the ladies here probably would not be combative if they feel as though the trustees have the power to terminate their job because they have responsibility to their family first and foremost. So that's one of the things, that's the underlying belief that I have. Most people are not going to be disgruntled, if you want to call it, because they have responsibilities at home. And with this climate that we're in, it's not that easy to go out and find a job. I just feel confident in my abilities that I can go find a job if I lose one today. But I do believe, being here the last 16 months, that the trustees, and if you want me to elaborate who and what, made an effort, right or wrong, but it is the effort, and it might be perceived, but this is what it's been felt. They came in last April, not knowing barely any of the ladies' first name, let alone their last name. The atmosphere was, for whatever reason, they felt that the trustees were trying to terminate their job. The argument was the trustees felt the mayor inappropriately put them in positions that they should not have been in without the consent and approval of the board. The same, that we have a council meeting. Again, that may or may not be true. I've asked all the trustees, as you know, Trustee Brewer, to last year get to know these ladies individually. So imagine if I came to your house and I felt I ain't like the color of your walls, and all of a sudden I put somebody in place to change the color of your walls. You're gonna feel uncomfortable. So when the trustees got here last year, you recall that first night, you guys had ordinances in place already done. Changing stuff. Mr. Williams came in, was here a day and a half, wanted to change the person's title. No one got to know these ladies. My argument was, and still to this day, they are relatively doing the same job that the people that you guys, trustees, believe, the mayor terminate, the mayor forced out, or whatever the case may be, are doing. It's not like they got a job that wasn't existing prior to any of the trustees getting here. The job titles, I've said from day one, job titles are irrelevant. I made a point maybe 2 weeks ago to one of the trustees that we could say somebody's job title that they have in another place is irrelevant to their experience that they have here. So that's undeniable that the atmosphere when you guys came in last April, it felt, whether you guys feel the mayor told them that to feel that way or not, that their job was under fire. It's somewhere has since been that way. I made my comment a month ago. Since that time, let's look what happened. I've always said it seemed like the finance department has been mainly targeted. If you go back to any minutes, I can promise you out of the 4 meetings, let's say the 4 meetings, that is held a month, maybe, if I'm lucky, one department is discussed. But I can guarantee you, every meeting you have a month, the finance department is discussed. Now, the auspice is going to be, as you alluded to, there's so much going on that we did not know prior to us being here. Well, that might be true. But at the same time, when you putting the emphasis on the staff to correct what was done wrong without acknowledging that the people that was here before them was the cause of most of these problems, that's not fair. 2 weeks, last night, you guys amended an ordinance. You amended an ordinance that, you amended an ordinance that you put together, Trustee Brewer, with the attorney, that even when it came about, that wasn't in place for 63 years. That ordinance was to qualify people to get paid based on the ordinance. Now, back to last year. The finance department, the trustees talked about their salaries. They talked about how many people was in the finance department and all that. So if now fast forward to a month ago, a couple weeks ago, you placed an ordinance where conveniently one department head was left out that ordinance. So not only did it delay the budget passing, but into the haste of making a decision to quote unquote make sure we are properly following the guidelines per the attorney, conveniently one department head is left off. It just seemed like to me, conveniently, that same department head is never criticized, never held accountable. So when I say that my working sister feel like they're under attack, just look at what has done. You made that, they're not gonna come to you and say, hey, Trustee Brewer, you don't piss me off. They're not gonna do that. They have responsibility at home. But when you get to know people and you understand how they work, you know how they feel. So you all can deny it, but if you just sit back and look at what happened, I believe, and probably, hopefully I'm wrong, Mr. Williams was brought here to do one task, and that's to change that front office. Because I told every trustee, he sat in that office the 4 days that he did work, all the time. He didn't interact with none of us, but he wanted to change job titles. Why? There's emails that you guys asked for him to do this. The trustees pounded him, which is one of the reasons he's no longer here, to force them to come back to work during COVID, because you guys said the public work guys are working. Well, we can discuss that issue too, whether that's a true statement, if the public works guys were working during COVID. So I do believe it's hostile more so. Mr. Jerry, since he's been here, he demanded. I think he feels he's the king of the hill. Me and him do not get along because like he feels he's the king of the hill, I'm the king of the hill too. So we can have our disagreement, and if he want to have a power struggle because he has a title, it makes me no different. Right is right, and I think most of the time the way he approach the staff and do things is because he feels he has the authority, and I think his authority comes from the trustees.
Okay, well, let me make something clear. I did not put that ordinance together. I knew about it, but I did not put it together.
Well, that's
But wait a minute,
go ahead.
Mr. Finch, I didn't interrupt you.
You're right.
So I did not put that ordinance together, but I had knowledge of it. And as you talk through your narrative right there, you didn't answer my question. I'm talking about specifically for me. I know what you're saying when the trustees came in 2019.
Okay.
So I'm talking about me specifically.
Okay.
Because, wait a minute, Mr. Finch. Now, I always approach whoever I'm talking to in a, respectful tone. I don't think I have ever got loud or anything with any of them, any of the employees there. And only thing I ever asked them to do something, they say, oh no, we can't do it, I just go on to something else. I have never, said anything out of the way or anything like that. So, I mean, I just felt like me personally, if I, even though I'm a trustee, I don't think I have, and, I'm just saying. So, I mean, I just like to know one incident that I've had with an employee that I've got out of.
Well, let me just, I think you're mixing putting pressure and being disrespectful. I don't think you've ever been disrespectful. I agree with you on that. Mm-hmm. But if we are telling you, for instance, the TIF account, we don't have information, and we tell you that repeatedly, we look for it, and you come out here and you tell the residents that we're not giving you information, then basically you're saying we're lying. And you have repeatedly done that since last year. So that's an example. When we are telling you, Trustee Brewer, we're looking for information. We can't find the information. Like, I give you an example. The auditors asked for information for 2017 that we was looking for.
For who?
The auditors. They were asking for information regarding the vendor. That was for 2017. When we first looked for it, we couldn't find it. You know where we found it? In the 2018 files. It didn't mean that we didn't look for it. It just took us an extra week to find it. So when we're telling you, Trustee Brewer, we can't find information, but you come out here and you tell the residents, we're not getting information, and you imply that the mayor telling us not getting information. And I told you this, I take offense to it, because I know I've given you 300-400 sheets of paper. So yes, it's not a disrespectful thing. They're not going to disrespect you, because one, I think they've been raised better than that, and two, you are an elected official, so you deserve the right to be respected. It's just a constant pressure. It's just like the instant. I'm going to go back to Mr. Herkins. When you demand me give you something, you don't demand. You should ask. And if there's a disagreement, don't throw your weight around and think because you have a title, I'm supposed to do something. I'm not that type of person. Some of the ladies probably go ahead and say, let me find it, let me give it to you if they have it. But if they don't have it, they don't have it. And you constantly asking the same question day after day, week after week, and get up here and tell the residents we're not giving you information. That's a way of harassing them. Instead of trusting them, they are not trying to hide stuff from you. So that's about as specific as I can get. Okay,
well, Mr. Finch, I disagree with you on the way that's been handled, because once they say no, I just go on, so I don't understand big pressure. Now, when I do come out and talk to the public and stuff, yes, I'm going to say I'm not getting that information because I'm not getting that information. One of the issues here is...
Can I ask you a question? Let me ask you one question on that.
No.
Let me make my point.
I'm talking. No,
okay,
I'm making my point.
Go ahead, make your point.
One of the issues here in the village since 2017 is that we haven't had transparency, okay? You can't get anything from well, I shouldn't say anything. You get stuff now, documents now. When we first came aboard, you couldn't get anything. Now, my prime example is Republican garbage. When I first came on board, I did a nice little spreadsheet. It was presented to the board, and the problem was the $389,000 that was, we did with the contract, So the village administrator who was here before, JW, pull all these documents out and, you know, and I said, well, okay, let me take a look at it, okay? So at that point, I had to call Ernie Lopez from Republic, and he said, okay, I need to talk to the mayor. So I talked to the mayor. The mayor came back with some numbers. I said, this is not right, Mayor. I need some information so I can make an informed decision. Okay, so we did the spreadsheet and all that sort of stuff. And then we find out, the mayor said, well, we're just not going to do it. Now, I spent almost 3 weeks on that spreadsheet, and I do believe that the $389,000 we don't owe Republic. That's just my opinion of what I got from bits and pieces of it. But the whole thing was a fiasco from the day one. You know, somebody else should have looked into that, and I was trying to, but you know, I was stopped. So, I mean, how do you think a person feels when I'm going out of my way to do this sort of stuff, and then all of a sudden they say, "Oh, you can't do it. You can't get that information." And the information is there. It's just a matter of telling me where I can go and look.
So what you just said is the problem that I have. You said it was under the previous administration, the previous village administrator.
The information.
For the Republic.
Yeah.
I know that I met with Ernie when I first got here. I know, and I told some of the trustees, that Ernie said, we haven't done an audit in a while. That information was provided to you. Now,
To who?
To you.
Nope.
Okay, I'm gonna show you the email that I got from Ernie when he met with me in that office back there. If the mayor stopped you, what you're alleging, that has nothing to do with the staff. If I met with Ernie to find out how many houses was audited, and basically they only audit after the village audit, which takes time for the village to send somebody out there to audit these homes. So Republic is not gonna go out there because the village say, hey, go audit these vacant houses. They only do it when we have done it, and then they confirm our numbers to their numbers. That process was done last year. So that's my point. If I'm giving you, or giving that to the trustees, to say this is what I researched and I've done it, then it's not fair to stand up here and say what you just said. You're not getting information from the public.
But nobody has given me any information from Republic.
But Trustee Brewer, we can't do what happened in 17, 18, 19, early 19.
Well, I'm talking about 2017. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm not here in 2017, Trustee Brewer. These ladies not here in 2017. So you can't, when you talk to the resident, what you're not getting, the resident automatically assume you talk about the current staff. You need a preference to say under whoever was the village administrator then, under whoever was the accounts payable then, under whoever was the village finance director then. But when you don't preference it by saying the former staff, it's implied that you are talking about the current staff.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I guess we got the same problem because you implied trustees instead of specific
I
trustees.
try
You say trustees.
No, let me clarify that.
You say trustees.
Let me clarify that. That's why I'm doing it different this time.
Okay.
I would try to be respectful to not put individual trustees' name out there. But if they ask me and they want me to address like you just did, I would address individual trustees. Because like I said last time, 90% of what I said last meeting, you all collectively, from the mayor to the clerk, have heard 80% of what I said. So it wasn't nothing new. Now what surprised me is what the trustees felt like, well, I'm not part of the group. But when you look at the minutes, you guys vote as a group. So if you disagree with something, then you should not vote as a group. I mean, you should not vote in the majority. Now, as far as the ordinance that you said you were not part of.
I said I wasn't part of it.
Right. Okay. If you're not part of the ordinance drafting, what was your vote on it?
No, I voted for it, yes.
So you voted on something that you felt, or maybe let me ask you this question. Did you feel it excluded a member who should have been part of the ordinance so that that person get paid a paycheck?
Say that again.
Did you feel that ordinance excluded a department head that should get paid based on appropriation?
No, because it's coming up. We voted on that today.
As the clerk alluded to yesterday, you know what that means? You pay an attorney more money to amend an ordinance that was initially started by either the attorney or a trustee. All I'm saying, if it was wrong, it should have been tabled, or it should never been brought to vote, because as everybody know, we had an issue with the budget passing. That was the last thing that my understanding that you said at the committee meeting, we wasn't going forward with the budget until these ordinances passed. It was your voice.
Wait, Mr. Finch, I said we can't move forward unless we get an ordinance for those positions that was created. That's what I said.
So let me ask you this. Are you willing to say what trustee put that ordinance together?
No.
So why you want me to say what trustees I'm talking about?
Because I'm talking about me specifically, what happened with me and you. You know, the issue between me and you.
Right. So.
Well, it's not really between me and you. It's that I was trying to say that.
But just like
anyway, because we wasting people's time.
And I'm gonna leave in with this. Okay. Just like you just said, I made inclusive comment about all the trustees, you an individual.
Right.
So.
And I want to know your take on it.
If you disagree with, you feel that way, then you should be part of the trustees that put forth an ordinance that excluded a department that, in my opinion, never get chastised, never get corrected. Because another thing, and then I go on to the next question. One of the things collectively the trustees that talked about was cross-training. Cross-training. I did something today because I want to do an experiment. I asked my public works guys, I said, if I gave y'all 127 houses to turn off, how many of y'all can cut off? They said 127, unless they got to be dig ups. I said, okay, if I give y'all 6 days, how many of y'all can turn off? They said, hell, we do that in 1 day. So when I talk about public works department, it ain't about the man. It's about one breath, you guys say cross-train the front staff, but yet public works can't be cross-trained, police department cross-trained, fire department cross-trained. So that's when you talk about why I defend the ladies in the front office, because it's different rules for different people.
No. I am not, Mr. Finch, I am not taking that. I'm asking you personally, why did you say that I was giving them a hard time, and I'm not giving the employees a hard time.
You give them a hard time because you keep referencing what you have not gotten prior to these ladies and myself getting hired.
Oh, so since I'm a trustee, I'm not supposed to ask financial questions?
No, you can ask financial questions, trustee, but when you come out here, you tell the residents you're not getting information. Trustee, okay. You and I both know that's a lie.
Okay, well, see.
Have I not given you the bank statements you've asked for?
Yeah, you get the bank statement.
Wait.
Okay.
Let me
there are so many other things back there.
Next question.
We're only one person. I'm only one person.
Okay.
But my question is, why wouldn't you get this from Mohan? Why wouldn't you get this from Mike Barnicki? Why wouldn't you get this information from John Furman? That's 3 people. You get information from one person and you still not satisfied. But yet you sit out here every other Tuesday. But if I go back in 2017, 2018, you're not saying the same stuff. Why not?
Because we weren't getting
it. You still have a voice. You still have a mouth.
And I was still saying the same thing I'm saying now. We weren't getting
Next question, please. We ain't gonna get nowhere with this.
Yeah, I know we're not getting nowhere.
Because you don't want to admit that you put more emphasis. Okay, you said you're not getting information. February 2018, you asked me about fire hydrants. Have you gotten a list and address of those fire hydrants?
Yes.
When did you get them?
I got them.
When?
I don't know. I've been having them a while.
How long ago, Trustee Brewer?
I really can't.
It was not in 2019.
I got it somewhere like July.
Of this year, correct? Sometime this year. Would you agree with that?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Okay. Have you ever sat right there and told the residents you still waiting on fire hydrant information?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Let's look at the minutes. Next question. Anybody else got a question? Yes, Ms. Williams.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to let the audience know what the new ground rules are. Because last time the trustees were told they could not talk. Does anybody object to me taking my mic out so you can my mask off so you can hear me? Linda, you okay with that?
Use a microphone.
Okay, so last time the rules stated at the beginning that the trustees are present but they cannot speak. We found out that it's not true, that the trustees can speak. But unfortunately, everything that Trustee Brewer just talked about, now I cannot comment on because we cannot answer
No, let me say this, Ms. Williams, because I don't want to get no technicality. I want this meeting to be open. So if you want to be
but according to the open meeting,
let me say this, and I don't know if the attorney was right on that. Again, it's that gray area. It's not an open meeting act violation if 2 trustees talk, but it's an open meeting act violation if you rebuttal what a trustee said. That kind of confused me. And I'm not saying he's right, I'm not saying he's wrong. But if one trustee can talk, the other trustee can talk, but they can't talk about the same issue, that's a violation. So what I did, now, let you obviously know, what I did, because it was a big issue last time, like you just said, you guys wasn't able to talk. I asked the clerk to send out all the trustees an email asking them to bring prepared questions that I have not seen, because the trustees said this was orchestrated, this was for the mayor and all that stuff, and it was not. I have my voice in my own voice. I've said it when I first got here so many times, and I don't know what it takes for people to believe that I can speak for myself. I'm 51 years old and I don't need a mouthpiece. So, if you feel as trustees that you have a question or you want to piggyback on what somebody else said, let's just put it out there. Because I don't want going back next week, somebody said, well, I didn't answer the question, or Mr. Finch kind of gave half truth. Put it out there. This is for the residents. Let them see.
I understand that, but I still have to go according to the guidelines, as closely as I can.
Do me a
sir.
favor. Ask Ms. Couch or Ms. Washington to write your question. Let
No,
them ask.
I have very, very basic comments to make. I just wanted to say, as much as I would actually chime into a lot of what has already been said, I can keep it very broad, okay? So last time, I will state, as far as you bringing up staff, past and present, I think it's inappropriate. We're naming names. And I'm one of them that speaks, not only in executive session, but in open session, that when we're discussing our staff, we shouldn't be naming names, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. You can name their position, but you shouldn't be putting names out there, Mr. Finch. That's not appropriate. And basically, I mean, our staff could have a problem with that. I do care about our staff's feelings, whether there's staffs that you particularly like or staff that you particularly don't like. We have to respect our staff. So that kind of worries me that we're putting their names out in the way that we're doing. And the one thing that I will agree with is trustees should not be lumped together, absolutely. And in the last meeting, we were. There were several statements that were made that I didn't have anything to do with or any party to, and basically didn't agree to. But I was lumped together with other trustees who felt that way or did something, and I felt that that was inappropriate. It gives the public the wrong perception. I think the talk with the treasurer should be just that. Talk about finances. And what we had, you had a great presentation the last time. You stuck to the finances. You gave us a lot of information, some of which I didn't even know, because I haven't been around for a couple of years at one point. And you gave me information I didn't even know, and it was great. What happened was, when it got turned over to the residents, and then it became like attacking. And I don't think we should be here to attack anybody. Not the staff, not the trustees, not you, or not anybody. Because I personally have a very good working relationship with you and the staff. And I don't know why we're going here. We're wasting our time. I want to hear about the finances of the village. I don't want to hear where everybody's working against each other. I want to see how we can work together with our finances. Because my question is, talk with the treasurer should be about finances. Why are we speaking about personnel, past or present? This should be done in executive session. It shouldn't be done out like this. The staff should not be addressed in public. My concern is, how long does the typical audit take? When do you anticipate the forensic audit and the regular audit to be completed? What is keeping it from being completed? One thing I was told was that the bank statements from 2017 have not been turned over to the auditors. My question is, I know you just stated something about records not being placed where they're supposed to be, but bank records can be received from the bank. So basically, my only concern, I have financial questions. I'm not here to talk about anybody. Because when it comes to you and I, we've always had a wonderful working relationship. Can we talk about finances here tonight and stop attacking each other? So my biggest question is the audit. The budget's done. Okay, anything in the past is in the past. What can we do to move forward, especially with the finances? Because as I stated before, we have a finance director, assistant finance director, and an interim finance director. I want to know, where do we stand with our finances? Thank you.
Good question. So, to answer your question, I'm going to answer your question, but you said something that I was trying to explain to Trustee, Mrs. Brewer. Wrong perception. So when you talk about the staff, whatever, that's my whole point. The wrong perception that is given when the finance department is repeatedly mentioned is the perception that is occurring, people. Now, with respect to the audit, it's normally take 3 to 4 months. The forensic audit, the 2017 bank statement that you mentioned, I think maybe the 3rd or the 4th of this month is what SICK provided to us, which was a new request. We have not, well, let me say that, I don't think we have provided that to them since that time, but they should be in the drawer in one of the cabinets in there. So that was a new request. As far as the regular Miller Cooper audit, we just got off a call with them, I want to say Tuesday, if not Monday. The anticipation is to follow back up with them by the end of November, because there's some unexplained transaction within Civic that myself, the auditors, and now the finance director is trying to figure out what the heck happened. That's one of the things that I think when we say stuff like that, people, because of the toxicity that we have, that we're delaying it, we meaning the staff. But I try to explain that we're not delaying it, because if you go back and look at the previous audit, you see that the auditors made over 125, 130 journal entries to get the audit done. So we can't move forward with Miller Cooper until we figure out what's going on with Civic as it relates to the main cash account, because everything's predicated on the cash account. Once that's done, then Sickets is going to come in. Miller Cooper is going to come in and do what they call spot checking. They're going to randomly pick invoices. They're going to call these individuals and ask them what's going on. Did you actually deliver this to the villages, things of that nature? We won't know what those invoices are going to be until they come in. One of the delays, which is a minor delay, but it's still a delay, is because of COVID. They have not been here. The guy who does the audit for Miller Cooper, he's only been here once for one day to kind of go through some information. As for Sickets, they are working behind the scene. They did send us update. I was hoping the trustees received that, because it was addressed to myself as well as the village administrator and I think the finance director. They are doing what they have to do behind the scene. They are scheduling a meeting to meet with the mayor and the staff. They're going to pick that date. That's going to be a date that we're not going to be able to control, because the whole purpose of the forensic audit is kind of catch you off guard so that, quote unquote, nobody can at the last minute hide stuff. So I can't tell you when that's done, but we are in talks with them. The biggest challenge is the Miller Cooper audit. The forensic audit is moving forward behind the scene.
So you just mentioned that, I believe you said like 120 something entries that have to be done on the audit. This is traditionally what's been happening over the past several years.
Yes.
Multiple years. Not this year, not just last year, multiple years. And again, the auditors keep telling us, we keep repeating the same bad behavior. When are we going to stop repeating the same bad behavior year after year? Is Civic part of the problem? Is this what I'm hearing?
Well,
it's our software? Or what is the problem? Why do we keep repeating the same errors year after year after year?
Well, it's twofold. One, and I've said this before, I do think it's Civic. The other, I think, is it's amount of work. We have 30+ bank statements. So you figure you do 30 bank statements a month, even if you get them done in a month, which is, you have to have somebody just truly dedicated to that. Because the corporate bank statement in itself takes a few days, because it's got so much going on. One of the things, it's interesting that you asked that. I had the staff watch a webinar the other day. Hopefully, we'll have that company come out here in about another 2 weeks to do a presentation. It's a window-based platform. I do know they have it for the utility building. I think they have it for the accounting side of it. I just don't know how much it's going to cost, because I'm not going to suggest something to the village that they say is $50,000, because then we have to go through the whole thing with the budget. But that is something we did look into just recently with the staff in the webinar. The challenge is, and I think she can speak for herself, with the new finance director here, there's a lot of process and procedures that has to be put in place.
Yes.
And she's going through that task now, which indirectly is hurting us in a sense with the audit, because it's so, as I said before, there's so much coming in daily, whether it's dealing with the client, the residents, and their issues in the water billing, whether it's dealing with vendors to make sure they get paid right, whether it's looking at invoices. It's a lot of internal stuff that we have to do. So now I think that the team is kind of settled. It's slowly going to start getting better, but it's not going to happen overnight. Because, as I mentioned maybe last month, once this audit's done, we right back into a new audit.
Yeah.
So it's gonna take some time. It's gonna take the staff putting in some effort, which I don't know if you collectively, the best way to get people to work for you and do more is when they feel like you respect them. When you feel like you value their efforts and their time. The amount of work that has to be done in the finance department is going to require extra effort, time. That's hard to get right now, to be honest with you. That's what has to change. You have to have people willing to stay a little bit later, come in on the weekends if they need to get the job done. But if you're not feeling like that, it's hard to go above and beyond.
Well, I've seen multiple staff members here after 5 o'clock, because that's typically when I can't get here is after 5 o'clock. And I do applaud their extra effort. And I do tell them when I come in after 5, and I ask them, why are you still here? Because I do applaud the fact that they are putting in that extra effort. But I do know that trustees have also offered their time, including myself. I mean, I'm pretty efficient in accounting. I can help out when it's needed. I can file. I can do whatever's needed. I mean, trustees are here to help, which is exactly why I think that the perception is that we're the enemy when we're not. We were put in a position to try to help move the village forward. And what we need to know is what can we do to help. We don't want the division. We don't want the separation. All we want to know is what can we do to move forward. What help do you need? And we've asked you time and time again. And I know that the new finance director came into a situation that she's doing a yeoman's job, and I appreciate that because I know policies and procedures are extremely lacking in a lot of areas, okay, which is why we put somebody in place that can do that. So my question is, again, can we stay away from the hostility factor and the personal factor, and can we deal with the finance situation? Because that's what you're here for.
I think one of the things you said, the trustees helping, one of the things I know that the finance director is trying to implement is a purchase order system. That's going to be, one thing I said last year, 2 things that I know been working since I was 15. People don't like change, people don't like accountability. When you put that purchase order system in place, it's going to make a lot of people mad because honestly, everyone here in all departments is willy-nilly with the village credit card, basically. Not saying credit card, with the village money, let me say that.
Right.
They go buy stuff, and before you know it, now it's on the accounts payable list. That's how you go over budget, that's how you spend money that you don't have. If the body would take the framework that the finance director has and realistically put together, this is how we're going to do a purchase order and hold people accountable, and if it doesn't come through the proper way, that invoice not getting paid. I said before that one of the things that I did when I first got to Linwood, I had my department head meeting, and the conversation was, if you do not tell me what you're going to order, when that vendor comes with that bill, I'm going to call that vendor and tell them they will not get paid at least over 90 days. You do that enough, vendor's going to, one, stop delivering stuff to you, or that department head who needs that, whatever you order, is going to shape up and get it done right. Those are the things that can be done, and it's a culture change. So if the body wants to help, take some of the pressure off the finance director and say, okay, what do you envision A, B, C, D as the purchase order system? How does it flow? And then we're going to enforce it so that when you come to us and say, somebody call and say, hey, I ain't got paid, then your question as trustees is be, and the mayor should be, did you follow the process? And the answer is no. Well, you won't get paid till you start following the process.
I know you mentioned the purchase order process a year ago, if not longer. When I first came on the board, we were talking about it. And it didn't get implemented then. I'm all for it. And I told you then I was. It's accountability. And like you said, people want change, but they don't want to change. I think it's a great thing, and I think it's really going to help. So again, anything that the trustees can do to help implement procedures or move things forward to get the finances where they need to be. Again, I'm not lumping the trustees together because I'm only one. I personally would say I know at least one trustee that's willing to help where needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just want to add on that. We're working on that.
Okay.
Already.
And that's the thing. I'm not asking, and I don't want to speak for the finance director. for you guys to draft it, draft the purchase order, anything. What I'm asking is, as she implements it, and we have discussion, I think a lot of conversations should be had back here and there before it's come to committee meetings or council meetings, draft it or put it together. I'm asking, let her lead and then help modify it. Because what I printed out tonight was, to what you were just saying, Mrs. Williams, was the audit findings. Let her lead and say, okay, this is what we're going to do to correct this issue. And collectively support that, knowing that there's going to be some resistance.
I don't need Mike to answer that. I totally agree, and I thought that's what she was doing. I support that 110%. That's what she was put in place to do. I'm not a finance director. I think she'd be able to do that and bring it to the board would be excellent.
Mayor.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I'm going to get it right.
I just have a question. You had mentioned that Civic. Now, didn't you bring them in? You had recommended them at a board meeting. Is there a problem with them not doing some of the things that are required of
No.
that particular?
There's SICIC is the forensic auditors. Civic is the accounting system that we have. Civic has a lot of nuances. Like I'm an Android type person. You give me an Apple phone, it's gonna take me a minute to figure it out, but it's gonna take me a lot longer than me going to Android. Civic is like that. You have a system that is so many steps and process you have to go through to get the information out that you're trying to look for. Like a lot of the accounting system I'm used to, if someone says, print out me a balance sheet, I can go click on a few buttons and boom, I got it. In Civic, you practically have to build it. And if you are not versed in all the nuances of what a balance sheet entail, you may or may not pull out all the information that you need. So when you get a report, by looking at it, you're like, I know this is wrong. So now you got to go back in and take the time to figure it out. Like we do the budget to actual. There's a system that if I do a budget to actual, it gives me all the department head, one report, one button. In Civic, you have to do every single department. Now, if the board wants to see what's the total collectively, like they do in the budget, you have to add them up individually. That's cumbersome.
Some of the things that you said they are trying to gather for the audit, the forensic and the regular, is there stuff missing that is lacking, or you don't know where it's filed, or whatever?
Well, one of it was the invoice that we just found, invoices that they asked for, we just found. Most of it is time. It really is. There's like the week of shutoff, it's swamped in here. The week of penalties, is due dates, is swamped in here. So there's a lot of calls, a lot of activity. Every day is not the same. So you can have the good intention to do something like, for instance, some morning when I get to Linwood at 8:30, I might not literally sit at my desk at like 12:30 because I'm running around putting out small fires. That throws my whole plan of action for that day off. So it goes back to the time that it takes, and then do you really feel like maybe I should have stayed at 5:30, maybe I should have stayed at 6, and do that extra 30 minutes, that extra hour to get what needs to be done. That's a mood. That's a desire. But if you're not feeling, as I was taught, if you're not feeling that love being reciprocated, you're like, hey, it's 8 o'clock. I'm off. 8 hours later, I'm off the clock, and that's what's unfortunate.
You keep mentioning this. If you don't feel appreciated, if a person's here to do a job, everybody has to feel appreciated. But if they don't feel appreciated, do they talk to the individuals that they feel that they're not being appreciated? And if you're hired to do a job and you get paid for that job, you should do that job.
I agree.
And if you're not doing that job, somebody from somewhere needs to sit down and say, okay, we're not getting the job done. For instance, I remember you mentioning all these bank accounts, 18 different bank accounts, I believe it was.
30. 30.
Okay. How many of those have you compacted or straightened out and found out why or whatever? And where's that money supposed to be?
We was originally, I think, at 33. We down to 30. So they eventually will shrink. Like, I'll give you an example. The report I gave last night, there was a money laundry account, there's a spending money laundry account, there's a holding money laundry account, there's a tow account. All those funds are restricted. I have to wait till I get information from the chief and the respective agencies to say we can consolidate this money. Like, for instance, the MFT account, that account would never ever be closed because it's restricted. The DA account would never ever be closed. But we might be able to close a money laundry, one of the 3 money laundry accounts. But the question is, will that be in violation of the state? Because basically what the money is, they make a drug bust or whatever, they put it in this account, and at a point in time, they have to send it to the state. The state either give it back to the individual. If they don't give it back to the individual, they keep a percentage of it. They keep a percentage of it, and then they can send the percentage to the village. So those are the questions that has to eventually be asked, and somebody has to follow up. So just because I'm asking the chief to look into it, now he has to follow with the state when he has time, or I have to follow with the state. So eventually these accounts will get closed, some of them will get closed, but it's a process to make sure you're not closing accounts that's not going to get you in trouble in the long run. Like, perfect example, the CN Railroad account that Trustee, Trustee Brewer mentioned. Now that we have permission from CN Railroad to use that money unrestricted, that money is now available to be used. So that's an account that we can take that money, in theory, and put it all in the corporate account and close the CN Railroad account completely. But we're probably not going to do that, because if we put it in the corporate cash account, it's going to be spent, and then 6 months down the road, we're going to look up and like, what happened to the whole money? So that money probably just be slowly dwindling out of the CN account, and then once it's depleted, close that account for good.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you explain, sir, why has it taken so long for the trustees to pass the budget of 2020 when the fiscal year started back in May?
Let me say this, because I don't want this to be trustee bashing or mayor bashing. Once we get the process down, it shouldn't take that long. Again, I just think there's different philosophies on what should go in the budget, what shouldn't go in the budget, and what's priority. That's one of the things that I think, if you hold your finance director, hold your treasurer accountable, and say, we want a budget by June, realistically July, by July 30th. Let them do it, let them meet with the department heads, let them go all over the intricacies of the numbers and present it to the body without the body picking line by line, but with a discussion. That could get the budget done by July. It has not happened in the last 2 years because every collective person involved with the budget have their different needs and wants. Instead of saying, if you guys recall last year, I said, you only got 13 million. I don't care if you want to spend 20 million, you can't spend 20 million if you only get in 13 million. So it's almost a moot point to just say, give me everything you guys want. It's more of, we got 13 million, based on what you spent last year, we're going to increase it, or more likely we're going to decrease it. And then if there's anything left over, based on what the analysis is done by the finance director, we can bump it up a little bit. If the finance director can't make that analysis, then there's really nothing to talk about, because the money is what it is. It's only coming from the state and the county, and then what's come through the front window. But that's gauged prior year. So it's just one of those process and procedures. This is what we're going to do. And we tried, I'll be honest with you, we tried that this year. It kind of went off track with the COVID and everything. So it was just a matter of everyone have different inputs on what we should change, what we should take out, what we should add. And that delays because we're not meeting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're meeting Saturday. Then we maybe meet 2 Saturdays later. And before you know it, the whole month's gone by.
Well, has the budget been passed yet?
The budget is passed. The budget's done. I have to give the layout of the budget to the clerk so that she can follow with Cook County. But it has been passed, and I think it's on the website.
Okay. Have we implemented anything from the budget?
What you mean?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming that once a budget is passed, then money should be released to do things. Okay.
Money did, I don't think you was here yesterday evening. Money has been released. those union contract that was just recently also approved. We did do back retro pays, so money has been released. And bills has, even when the budget was not passed, we have a stopgap measure that allow us to continue paying certain bills that the mayor and the board deem necessary. So we have done, like for instance, we wasn't going to stop payroll. That wasn't going to stop because the budget didn't get passed on a certain time.
So, you're talking about the union, or are you talking about the union that's responsible for the repairs and replacement of the fire hydrants?
Yeah, all unions, we did Public Works Union and Office Technology Union, they both got all their retros. We did the police retro, I want to say early January of this year.
Okay, so I'm getting to a bottom line. The bottom line is this. Are we certain as to how many fire hydrants, do we have any idea as to how many fire hydrants are going to be repaired or replaced between now and the next budget? May 1st.
The proposal that I know that's discussed, I want to say is 17.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm supposed to ask one question?
No, he's not.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Finch, you said to show the love, so I'm going to show you the love. Okay. Also, to show you love for the rehab ordinance policy, we worked on that together. Trustee did. Okay? That's showing the love, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Showing the love on the AP ordinance, showing the love. We did that together, trustee and village employee. Also, right now, we have $100,000 that we're working on for fire hydrant repairs. You and I showed the love, right? So we're getting that done. And $144,000 for tree removals and I think a couple fire hydrants.
Yes.
That project is right now, we just working on, waiting on some paperwork to get that's showing it up. That's trustees working with employees. That's what I'm trying to get at. And this last thing that I just found out yesterday is that we possibly have some MFT funds, but the finance director is looking into that for me so we could show some more love. So my thing is that I personally have gone out of my way to, not gone out of my way, but I'm just me, you know, to do what I'm supposed to do and work with employees. So I don't think I'm having a problem with that. So that's what I want to say. I did my share. Okay?
Yes.
All right.
We have worked together. Yes, we have.
There you go. There you go. I just like to put that on record. Say that again.
We have worked together.
There you go.
In projects, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get an amen on that for me as well?
You would also, Trustee Williams. And that's going to be our mantra going forward, then. Show the love. Any other questions?
I have a question.
No, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm listening to you talking about the accounting system. How old is the current accounting system that we have? Do you know how old it is? Does it go back 63 years?
I don't think about that. I don't know how far back it goes, but it is an old accounting system.
It's an old accounting system.
Yes.
So if we as a village don't come up to the 21st century, you're going to have this problem consistently, no matter whose administration it's in, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Question for you, number 2. How many repeat findings have you had in audits going back to God knows how long because of this old accounting system?
Well, there's at least 4 pages of accounting findings.
Yes.
Now, they may not put everything on Civic, and definitely not on all personnel. I said it before, the government accounting is not like any other accounting that you deal with because there's so many nuances. There's fund balances, there's enterprise fund, fiduciary funds, and all those. It's a knowledge base that you need, and also it's a ton of work that's involved. I think one of the things, and kind of go back to Mrs. Williams, is the staff is going to need support, and that support can come in the form of additional people helping. That's if money wasn't a big sticky point, that's what I would recommend. Get a team in, have expectation, set goals, and do a benchmark. When you do that with talent and knowledgeable people, it's going to change. The stuff we do here as accountants is not hard. It's just tiresome. It's just detail-oriented, and it's amount of work. That's the biggest problem I've seen from here and past. That regardless, kind of what you were just saying, the system stays the same, that's the problem. The finance director, I think the one we have now, is very sharp mentally. It takes more than that to get things corrected. So, if anything, that's what I would recommend. Put effort and energy into the finance department and have expectation. Like, and I'll give you an example. I bragged last time about the $1.2 million in the water fund. I've challenged the finance team to get to 1.5. And all that, and that's not, they can go out and find $300,000, but they continue to put processes in place to shut off water, collect fines, write permits and tickets and all that stuff. The money's going to be there. So it's those are the things that you can do, but it takes collaborative work as a group to do it together.
Thank you.
Yes, the young lady was first. Here you go. Go ahead. Sir.
No, ladies first.
No, she told you go ahead.
No, ladies first.
Well, thank you, because I am a lady, so I will go. First of all, I want to thank you for having this meeting again on tonight. Just a couple of brief things I want to mention about that have to do with finances. The accounts payable used to be on the back table during the meeting, and the residents could actually see the bills that were being paid and could have some input about it. We are hearing what you're saying, and they keep saying go to the website and you can see what's going on, but realistically there are a lot of residents that don't have a computer. There are a lot of seniors that don't know how to navigate to go find a web page for a municipality and look up the budget and see what's going on. What would it take for us to be able to get the accounts payable back on the back table again so that the residents can have a hard copy to review?
Actually, I thought, let me back. When I first got here, it was my decision to pull it. I will say that was not the mayor or the trustees. And the reason I decided to pull it was because you had items on the accounts payable, and then you had invoices that weren't getting paid. I'm an advocate believer that if it's on that accounts payable, that bill got to get paid, regardless of personal feelings, who, what, when, where, regardless. It has to be paid.
Okay, so we can still see it. I mean, since you're going to make that determination that you're going to pay it anyway. I'm just saying some people don't know what's going on. So when they say it's no transparency, sometimes it is transparent to some people, but not transparent for other people.
Well, I thought, I did think recently, maybe like 8 months ago, that the mayor put it back on the table. Because that's what I heard, that it was at one point in time, it was on the table. So it can go back on the table. But the other thing, let me tell you why we also pulled it. If you recall the original accounts payable, things are all over the place on accounts payable. We revised that numerous times to get it where it's based on department. So you can look at one particular department and say, okay, I see these bills for administration, I see these bills for fire.
Correct.
So it's more detailed. So it could go back out there. I have no problem with that. But we were revising it because I didn't want it to be a situation where there's a bill on there. Because I'll give you an example. One of the bills, we'll pay an invoice, and the way it used to be coded in the system, let's say it was $10,000. We'll pay that bill, it'd be all over on the accounts payable list. So when you see it as a resident, you're like, oh, we just paid so-and-so $1,000. But in total, you pay that person $10,000. So the way we have it set up now, you see that one bill for what it was, $10,000. So
Okay,
that
thank
back out
you.
there.
Thank you. And then my other statement that I wanted to talk about was immediate checks, because we don't see the account payable. Have there been immediate checks being written? Because that was a big issue, that immediate checks should not be written.
No, the way, it's not on my watch, let me say that. The way that works, if a check needs to go out for a vendor, let's say, I don't know, you need new tires. The email's supposed to come in or whatever. I will send an email out to the board collectively and get a consensus from the body to say, hey, we need to pay this invoice for this particular reason. Once we got 4 of the 6 trustees approving it, then a check will be issued. The mayor and the village clerk will sign off on that check with the email as supporting documentation that the board knew that this check was going to be cut.
How often does that happen?
Very seldom.
Well, that's a good thing.
Because one of the things we instituted was they get an agent report prior, which shows what invoices, probably 95% of invoices that we have in the house will be on it. We have that accordion file with all the invoices that we are about to pay. So that exists. So it has to be an emergency. It's not like you want to call, we're going to cut a check for somebody to go buy some paper or some pens. It would be something that, I don't know, water main break or transmit, I don't know, I would say transmission, even that could wait a couple of days. So it would quote unquote be an emergency, or somebody got a conference tomorrow and we forgot to cut a check. So it is very seldom that it happens.
And it's usually like under $1,000, like around?
Yes.
You have a cap that you won't go over like
Now, the
900.
other thing, let me say this too, as far as accountability. Every check you cut out that system, you can run a check registry report. So that's something we have provided to the trustees and the mayor. So, and it's in sequence. So if you go from check 1 to 50, and you look, and you're like, wait, check 47, I don't remember this vendor, it's gonna stick out, because all those checks has to be cut through the system. Now, the other side of that, let's say, because we have access to it, a manual check where we don't run it through the system and we just type it up. It has to be typed up and it has to have 2 signatures. If one signature is signed, the bank is gonna kick it back. That's one way of checking it. Checking for indiscretion. The other way that's gonna be checked, when the finance director, who has no access to the checks, who has no signature put on the checks, as a signer, when the person does their bank reconciliation, those checks again, because the system gonna say, these are the 10 checks you cut. The bank gonna say, here's 11 checks that was cash. That person, finance director, will catch the imbalance. That's the second way of checking it. Then the other way of checking it is when the auditors come in. Like I said earlier, the cash account is the main account they care about, because that's where everything flows through. When they go through each 12 months of bank statements, they see like, this one check was typed up. Remember I said they do spot checking? They're gonna say, give us proof that, let's say the mayor signed it. Give us proof that the board knew that the mayor signed this check. If that doesn't happen, then they're gonna do documentation when they finally give their report that here's a check that we found that was typed with just the mayor's signature on it, or let's say the mayor and the clerk's signature on it. But there's no support to say why they did it. So there's 3 ways that they catch something like that.
Okay, and then I just have 2 more quick things. Mr. Finch, I know that you had said that, or I had seen that they had taken $400,000 out of the water account. Has that money been put back?
No, ma'am.
Are you planning on putting it back?
In Sauk Village, that's a double-edged sword. I personally do not think that, because how Sauk Village water is not allocated for another entity like Chicago or Hammond, it's profit to the village. I haven't found nothing statute-wise that says you have to pay money back to the water fund. However, I do agree that the water fund should not be a slush fund where you just keep abusing it and using it, using it, using it. I do think there should be a plan of how to use this money. So for instance, the $400,000, it was put out there, this is what we need this money for because of COVID. Because I had said that back in March, that potentially we're gonna be down $45,000, $500,000 by the time July rolled around. So that was already known that our potential will have to go into this water fund. I think as long as that is explained, you really can't be upset with it because it's to pay the bills of the village. What I think should not happen is we got $1.2 million and then next week it's only $800,000 and you guys, you mean the resident says, what happened to $400,000 and nobody can give you an answer. That's what I don't think should happen. Even if you say we spent the $400,000 on trees, at least you as residents know what happened to the money. So that's why, do I think it should be put back? Probably not, because you're gonna put it back, you're gonna borrow it back again down the road. So you just left hand, right hand.
Well, I know that when I was a trustee, it was very, very important that if we took $200 out the water fund that we put it back. I mean, it was a question that came up every single meeting. You all borrow money for the water fund, did you put it back? So some things that was in past practice now is just like matter of fact. So I'm just asking just for clarity. But after the meeting last night and talking about the safety of the village, you know, COVID is up in Sauk Village. We're over 200 now. And so it's rising in Sauk Village. So I'm just saying that, you know, I wish that you all could put out some kind of notice to the residents per the marquee or on the water bill. Just remind the residents that the coronavirus is not over. There still is not a vaccine, and that we want our residents to be safe. I have gone in some stores and they are not wearing a mask. They're not social distancing, and I'll talk to the manager, and they'll come and they'll speak to the person. Now, I think over in Indiana, they're not pushing it, and a lot of people from Indiana come over here, but I'm concerned about Sauk Village residents. I know at one time you all did provide and pass out masks, and you put it up on the market that people could come on a particular day, and the residents were providing masks. So just a note, if you could do that, maybe again, since it is rising, we want to keep our residents as safe as possible. Now, I think that a lot of people may think, oh, a mask is only $4.99. If the beauty supply store think they $9.99. If I got 5 kids and me and my husband, I may not have $70 to buy masks. If you giving me 2, that'll help out a lot. You know, if you give all of us 2 or 5. So, and then these paper ones, I mean, they don't cost that much. But that's just an idea. But this is what I really want to talk about, and this is my last statement. I talked to the mayor after the meeting last night because I'm really concerned about these street lights, and there are blocks where there are no lights. I know the finances, I don't know how much you have to pay to replace a light on the streets every time they go out, but I did talk to Mr. Weller today too, and so a fire hydrant is approximately $6,000 to repair. A brand new fire hydrant is $3,000, approximately another $3,000 for labor, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's a lot of money. That's like $6,000 for one fire hydrant. The street lights, I heard, was even more than that. To change those bulbs and to go up there, even to put a new light on the street, whether it's an aluminum pole or whether it's a wood pole, is like almost $8,000 to $15,000. So I had this great idea that we could have light posts in all the residents' front yards. Have you seen those in communities? Huh?
My neighbors have them.
They are gorgeous and they're not expensive. So what I need you all to discuss, I'm gonna bring it up. I need the village to give the residents $25 each on their light posts for their front yard. I think that would be a remarkable idea because it would not only make the
How much did you say?
$25 per resident. Excuse me, I got the mic.
Okay, but trust, I mean,
We talked about finance.
no, that's not finance.
I'm asking a question.
But that's still not, you're talking about a meeting now. We're trying to.
Oh, okay, I got you, no problem. The bottom line is, to that, I'll just say this. The residents, at one point, it was echoed, what are we doing for the residents? What are we doing for the residents? I'm talking about lighting up the neighborhoods, lighting up the blocks, putting lights, since we can't get the regular street lights up on the aluminum or the wooden poles, just a lighted area where seniors can see on their block coming out of their house. But I'll address it another way. But thank you for answering my questions.
You are.
Good afternoon, sir.
How you doing?
Larry Sapp.
Thank you.
I was listening and I understood, or I think I understood, you to say that the system that we're using is an old system for our county.
Yes.
How old is it?
It's probably at least 10, 15 years.
So with a system that old and as fast as we're evolving with technology, that puts us like in the Stone Age for a county. So that leaves a lot of room and windows of opportunity for money to be misplaced intentionally or unintentionally. It can wind up somewhere it's not supposed to be and not get caught in a matter of time that we're set straight. I'm saying that because the village is under forensic audit. Now I know we have audits which is supposed to manage our budget, make sure every dime is where it's supposed to be. Now, when we go into a forensic audit, somebody has questioned whether money was appropriately spent or money was taken out and they don't know where it is, so a forensic audit was called in. Now, I also understand that this audit only goes back for 2 years. Is that correct, sir? 1 year? And we have a system that's been outdated for 15 years. Why are we only going back 1 year to try to straighten out something that we probably need to go back to for 15 years or more to bring ourselves up to date?
Well, that was a decision collectively that was made to just do one year of forensic audit. 2, it can get costly if we do more than 1 year. And then, why we don't go back further? Again, personally, I don't think we needed a forensic audit. I recommended a forensic audit just to get things moving forward. The software eventually will have to be changed, but then now we're going to get to the money. It goes back to that, are we willing to change? Are we willing to talk to the village and say, hey, we short on the general fund side, we're going to borrow X amount of dollars or get X amount of dollars from the water fund. So it's good to want to do the changes, it's needed, but are we willing to pay for it? The forensic audit, I'm willing to say they're going to come back and say the same thing I've been saying, same thing Miller Cooper been saying. There's a lot of moving parts within our software system that it shouldn't happen. One of the things I do know that they're looking at is to see who all have had access to the system in the back end, to trace to see what individuals was in the system. So it's a software that can do for some upgrading. It definitely is.
The outdated software that we're using is more costly than the cost of updating the software, so that going forward, we wouldn't have these kind of concerns, because a forensic audit implies, basically, honestly, in my opinion, a forensic audit implies that somebody is taking money that has not been approved by the body, and that money has been put somewhere, and they're not interested in these people doing that, so they call a forensic audit. Now, the problem I have with that is that the forensic audit itself has no time limit on it. Is that correct, sir?
It has a time limit. When you say no time limit, what you mean?
I mean, it could take a year, it could take 2 years.
Yeah, once they decide, when they get to a point, that's when they stop. It's not like they can come in and say, we're going to go from August to December, and December 31st we're done. They're going to stop once they get done with their scope of work. And their scope of work is to identify all the
any
discrepancies that have been.
So, sir, during the period that we're under the scope of a forensic audit, can we go out and get a bond, or are we on hold?
Everything's on hold right now, including the regular audit.
So that costs us money, or at least it puts us behind our timetable for infrastructure fixtures like the people concerned with the lights and the fire hydrants and the streets, things of that nature, because we can't go out and get a bond until this forensic audit is done. Is that correct, sir?
Yes and no. Let me explain it. The audit not going to get done until the forensic audit gets done. Because an audit is not going to be done, you can't complete the data. You don't complete, which is the Government Accountability Transparency Act. If you don't complete the data, you can't get grants to do the things you just mentioned. So it has a twofold effect. Even if you don't want to get the bonds, you can't go and apply. Let's say the fire department find a grant for fire trucks, fire engines, I think that's what they call it, they use the right terminology. He will not be able to apply for a fire engine grant because the 2019 audit is not done, which means we, the finance department, haven't reported to the state to say our audit is done. So all this is tied together. So once the forensic is done, the audit can be done. Now it could be done in terms that they're no longer charging the village, but it won't be done in terms that they are willing to ready to publish it for review, where they come in and they talk to the body about their findings and things of that nature. So
But either way it goes, until that audit gets published, we're not gonna get any grants or anything. And so, God forbid that I would live in a house that has a fire hydrant that's broken, and I have to rely on the water truck to come, which is giving my house a chance to burn down or my family a chance to die, whatever. God forbid that that would ever happen, but this forensic audit seems to be a stifle for the village. And as a former engineer in the Chicago Water Department, I know for a fact that we could repair these fire hydrants for less than the amount that I've been hearing, because I did it myself. And the cost of doing that ran about $2,500 to $3,500 depending on what we actually had to do with that fire hydrant. Now, if we're able to go into the water fund to pay bills, wouldn't you consider the need for the safety of the residents of this village to be important enough to also allocate funds to repair more than at least 7? This is a large village. It may not seem so to some people, but to have 67 unworkable fire hydrants is a hazard to the health and safety of the entire village.
Well, one of the things that I do agree with you as far as the water fund, and as Trustee Brewer said, we are working on that with the $100,000 to repair 17 fire hydrants. There is a proposal, and again, this is where I think collaboration comes in, and I disagree with somehow it has been done in the past. One of the proposals that was proposed by one of the trustees was to have our current public work guys who have the experience to do it, but do it after 3:30. That way it wouldn't interfere with their day-to-day task. Based on that analysis, for $100,000, you roughly was gonna be able to get 60, let me take that back. It was like in a 30-week period for $100,000, they could do more than 17 fire hydrants. And that's if you take 17 fire hydrants and stretch it all over 13 weeks. I'm under the notion, I'm not an engineer, I don't get into that profession, that for 30 weeks of overtime pay, you probably can get 30 fire hydrants repaired or replaced if you do one a week. I don't know how long it takes to do one, I don't know how far you gotta go down and none of that. That's one of the proposals. I've heard about fire hydrants and branches and all this lights and stuff since 2015. My suggestion that I will propose is we say we're gonna spend $300,000, let's say. This is what we want to happen. For $100,000, go fix fire hydrant. As the young lady said earlier, it's part of your job. So let's get it done. Then you have another $200,000 that you can use to repair lights or whatever needs to be done. It's just almost, to me, it's a matter of will, being an innovator, doing things differently. You heard me say last time, and unfortunately I think it made a few people upset, I consider and proudly say I'm proud of my public works guys. I know the work they put in, I know the commitment. And I'm not saying these guys don't do it, but I take offense when I hear last night that we have to get permission to go repair street fire hydrants. My mama I didn't ask my mama for permission to wash dishes. She just told me to get them done. That's how I was raised. That's how the military taught me. You get the job done. So if the residents want it done, you guys got elected official. Hold them. I meant what I said last month. I feel sorry for y'all. Because the lady said $6,000 a lot. I'm pretty sure everybody feel their child, their mother, their father, if they dead, is worth more than $6,000. Because a funeral is going to cost more than that. It's to be unexcusable that you have the same problem, whether it be a county, fire hydrants, street lights, potholes, that under several administrations continue. I made a point, probably so, we got $1.2 million in the bank account. If you spend it down to $700,000, you telling me you guys can't do nothing with $500,000? I got challenged, let me say this part, on Facebook. Somebody, I wish he was here, Jason Ville and Samuel Todd, comment that if Mr. Finch was so concerned about the residents, he'd do something about it. I did. I went and got bids for certain streets in the village. I got bids for turn off on water meters. I got pushback. I was told the union was gonna file a guard. I can't do more than put it in the budget. I can't do more than call people that I know that can do the work and get it done. It's on you guys. That's what this is about. The will of the people. You know, I said it before. I work for the residents. So it doesn't matter. I go to home to Creek. I know exactly what I'm gonna get in my neighborhood. I can tell you at 10:30 at night, let there be loud music. I don't have to call a soul. I can tell you if I hit a pothole in Creek, it's gonna be fixed. That's what you guys gotta do. So I think, as we were talking with Trustee Brewer, Shirt of Love, you're gonna have to have that serious conversation and say, this is what I want done. Go get a plan and let's execute it and make it happen. And if we can't execute it, why not? Everybody should be held accountable to do their job and do their job on a certain level. And it starts, like I said with the finance team. I know I'm leaving, but I still put a challenge to them. Let's get 1.5 million. Pat yourself on the back in a few months and say, we got something in the bank account that wasn't there last year, wasn't there the year before, wasn't there when Mr. Finch was here. Why can't we do the same thing? I talked to a trustee last night, and you mentioned about fire hydrant. I made a gentleman bet. I said, I can guarantee you between now and December, you might get 2 fire hydrants fixed. That's just my take on it, because I've seen what can and cannot be done.
Thank you, sir. One more point, and I'll be semi-satisfied. Because I won't be until I know that the residents are put first. Some of our trustees, I'm not going to point anybody out because I know it can be difficult dealing with different personalities and people got different needs and wants and desires up there. Sometimes the egos get in the way. But we pay the cost for it as residents. I haven't heard in one meeting a discussion about repairing fire hydrants or allocating funds to do so. But I've heard quickly how much money we need to get that lawyer. You know, we're giving this man $20,000 and $30,000 a month, and we can't fix the damn fire hydrant. I'm sorry for my language, but it upsets me.
I can take it.
It upsets me when I sit here knowing that the people that I elected to serve my interests sit up there like they're my boss. And they don't talk to me, they talk at me about my money. It's not right. And they need to change those attitudes and start working for the people that they were duly elected to serve and be servants instead of sitting up there acting like they dictators and doing things the way they want to do it. Because we haven't, I'm going to be honest with you, since this new board of trustees has set up there, I don't see a darn thing that's happened for the residents of the village. It's been back and forth, them nitpicking with the mayor about the way they want things done. People getting fired in and out of that front office. That costs us money. That costs us money. Our money is being wasted. And the only person that's benefiting from it is that lawyer. That's got to change. And that's all I got for tonight. Thank you, sir.
I'm going to piggyback on what you said. You had a question?
I got my back here.
Mr. Finch, I sat here for 2 years at the board meeting and heard one of the trustees talk about it was $250,000 missing or something like that. Is that what caused this forensic audit to happen, and did that ever get dealt with, and did we ever find out, was it true that that money was so-called missing or not accounted for?
The 250,000 was part of the forensic audit. That, along with the Osmond grant, was the main two issues. The 250,000 was tracked down. I did track it down and account for it. And I've said it probably 3 or 4 times since I've been here. What happened was there was a bond payment due December, but there was no money to pay it. The money was moved out of the TIF account, which typically you don't touch TIF account unless it's TIF eligible expenses. There's like a guideline of what can be paid from a TIF account, and mainly things within the TIF district. That money was taken out of the TIF account and used to pay for the bond. Every December, Amalgamated Bank, which is one of our banks that we use that holds most of the bonds fundings, give the village back administrative fee. That administrative fee is roughly around $225,000, $250,000. It has happened for years, every year that I could go back and trace. That money came to the village roughly 2 or 3 days after the money that was removed from the TIF fund to pay for the bond. Once that money was sent from Amalgamated to our general account, it went from a general account to the TIF account. So within maybe a week, let's say, the TIF account was made whole again. So the money was not taken. It was used to pay a bond that, like your car notes, your mortgages, if you default on it, they potentially come knocking. So that was one issue. The other issue, which we ended up paying, was the Osmond grant. That grant was provided to the village. Those funds were put into the general account and spent, which is what I said earlier about the CN Railroad account. Right now, we don't need to put that money into the general account just to close it out because it might inadvertently be spent. So with the Osmond grant put into the general account and not a separate account by itself, it was spent. When the state came and asked, one, where's the parks that you guys are supposed to repair and do, there was no parks. Then the state came and said, well, give us the money back. Well, the village didn't have the money to give back. We since paid that money back last summer. So those are the two main issues that drove the forensic audit. But they have been, identified and corrected. Any other questions?
You have a question?
Yes. I have a question. Back when you were talking about the forensic audit, you made a statement, and I think you should emphasize on that particular statement. You did recommend a forensic audit. You brought that up. Would you clarify that for Mr. Sapp?
Yes. I said that last month that I did recommend the forensic audit.
It wasn't the trustees. It was a lot of residents asking that we should, and you recommended it. That's number one. Thank you. Number two, on the water bills and the things that are going out right now, and when they come due, we haven't been paying a late fee. Will that change anytime soon so that the people that are, the water bills might be late, is that going to be changing anytime soon?
I don't think so. That's going to be a call with the finance director and the assistant finance director, but as of right now, I don't think that's going to happen. But with regards to the forensic audit, one trustee did mention that they wanted a forensic audit. She spoke very forcefully that she wanted a forensic audit. So I did recommend it because I think at a point we were just going around and around. I recommended it, and also I told the trustees I don't think we needed it, but if it was to keep the peace and make sure everything was even keeled, then let's do it. Because I do think I don't think it's bad for new individuals to come in an organization and not understand what they're getting into. Like for me, when I got here, I took the time to go through the audits from previous years to know what I was dealing with. With the new financial director, I've asked her to go through the audits and see what she's dealing with. Because, like I said numerous times, it doesn't matter to me what happened in 2017. My name not on no piece of paper. So I had to know what was going on, and I was using the current auditor's report to tell me that. So it's not an issue of do the board have a right to feel comfortable with finances. I just think for me at that time, the debate and discussion was we couldn't touch the water fund and use extra money that we didn't have because the If you recall, I said, and people ran with it, we're like, I forgot now, because it was last year, I think we were like $5 million in the hole in the general fund, and people just ran with that. Well, that's one of the reasons. If you keep spending money that you don't have, you're going to have a hole. Trustee, I almost said the person's name. One of the trustees mentioned it at our recent budget about the hole in the the general fund. The only way you're going to plug a hole or fix a hole in the general fund is cut the expenses in the general fund. Otherwise, unfortunately, Ms. Washington, we're going to have to borrow $400,000, which this year was a lot less than the previous years. Any other questions?
I am not quite finished.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, just so that Mr. Sapp is aware, we have been asking and asking and asking to get fire hydrants repaired. Years go back when we would stand up here and ask for our fire hydrants to be repaired. At one point in time, I was on a committee with the mayor's wife, and we discussed it back then. And we're still, over the years, having issues with getting fire hydrants fixed. Another issue, all these homes that are not paying a water bill. And there are numerous homes. And there is a home that I'm aware of, and you're aware of, that didn't pay a water bill for a year and a half. Are we going to recover any of that money because he was allowed to live in that house for a year and a half, never paid a water bill, getting free garbage pickup? How many other homes in our village are being allowed to do that?
And I think, and again, that goes back to working as a group. To your point and Mr. Sapp's point, why not demand that the body bring to you all, pick a number, 30 addresses of broken fire hydrants. Bring in the people that can do the work, and I know they want me to say it, but the Public Works Director, and say, how do we get this done? What you're going to first hear is, there's not enough manpower. Okay, fine. Then let's give you guys overtime. Because overtime, believe it or not, it's going to be cheaper than you hiring somebody out. So if you give them overtime and they know how to do the job, everybody's winning. They get a bigger paycheck, the residents are safe, and financially, as the people in the finance department, we paying less money. So it's a win-win. But until the board and the residents demand that, you're going to repeat the same thing over and over. Like I said last month, it's like a pig. You can wash it, but it's going to get right back dirty. That's what boggles my mind. Why are we doing the same thing over and over and over? You know, they say that's insanity. You guys have been doing this for years. So demand that the trustees bring you. Let me go back. When I did this meeting, I got a lot of pushback. Why am I doing it? Just had one last night, big blow up. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? But I'm like, you guys should have meetings. Y'all sit on a committee, have meetings every month. I've asked, take the political side out of it, run on your committee. What have your committee done for the residents? Use that as a benchmark. So challenge your trustees, challenge the mayor, and say, we want 25 hydrant fix. How are you going to get it done? Don't tell me I need an RFP. Don't tell me I'm going to call the attorney. Tell me how you going to get it done. Use what I said. I'm like Lindsey Graham now. Use my word. Mr. Finch, there's $1 million in the water account. There's a $500,000 line of credit. There's $800,000 CD. You can't tell me you guys don't have money. If the finance director and assistant finance director and the rest of the ladies at the front window are aggressive, and the public works are aggressively cutting off water, more money coming in. So what's the problem? The problem is it's not been demanded that the people that can do the work, do the work. Now, with the lights, that could be a ComEd issue, that could be a village light, that could be a state light pole. It's different factors in there. But somebody, the trustees say they want to work together. One trustee, you go get all the data to figure out these, because let me explain to my kids. Before you get to 10, you got to start with 1. This village don't start. That's the problem. So pick a trustee. They all want to help. Ask the question next week. Which one of you trustees want to come and give us a list of the most dangerous fire hydrants in the village? And what is your plan to get it done? Because this is another thing that I do know. There's companies out there. You said you're an engineer, sir. If you was to pick the phone and call the company and say, hey, how long would it take you to repair or replace a broken fire hydrant completely from start to finish? That's your gauge. If he say 2 days, okay, he said 2 days, he's a professional, he's a consultant, then let's give our guys, 3 days. Well, if I do 3 days if I can take 3 days over a 10-day work period, that's how many they got done. That's 3 in 2 weeks. In a month, you got 6 done. Because the professional, who they are too, said they can get it done, pay them overtime. But this thing, having to get permission from the union steward, I don't understand that concept. When you got to check, and you said to yourself, Ms. Cow, it's part of your job. So, unlike the ladies at the front, they can't get overtime, but everybody else can get overtime. So, demand it, hold them accountable, because like I said last night, I don't think you guys are going to have any fix between now and December.
Mr. Finn?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now to talk about the fire hydrant thing, because I have worked tirelessly just to get these fire hydrants done. Now, as you know, there's an RFP that Robinson Engineering has, and we should get it next 2 weeks or so. But we have been trying for the longest, and you know, these are years, this is not recently, to get the fire hydrants. So hopefully we'll get the RFP done so we know which fire hydrants that we're gonna work on first. But I wanna get back to that, but I wanna ask you a few things while I got the floor. I'm sorry, I don't know her name, but she did bank reconciliations. I was in there showing the love and stuff. At that time, we talked about this, that civics is not user-friendly, okay? Therefore, that's why we had to get all those copies of those bank recs and make sure they match up and stuff. And it's still not user-friendly. You know, I can spend all day in there and just get my report, you know, and stuff like that. That's money I think we should spend on getting an updated computer system, something that's more user-friendly for not only trustees, but department heads and also, you know, officials. But that's something that we never got done. Another thing that I think it's a good idea to make it clear to residents that as we take money from the water fund, that residents should know that that money may be used for something other than water-related items. That has never been explained to the residents. So we moving money here, moving money there, and then the next thing you know, you have a fire hydrant that's not working. That's not sitting well with a resident, and that's been going on, what, 20, 30 years or so. So I'm really surprised this year that we actually gonna get some work done. But it hasn't been done yet, but we're gonna get some work done with fire hydrants. That's because we were so, what should I say, gun-ho about getting them done. So, I mean, I have done my part. Only thing I have to do is just wait for Robinson Engineering, which I think, as you know, we had that discussion, but we don't want to talk about what happened with that. But
go ahead.
And another thing that you talked about is that you said we couldn't get bonds because of grants because of bond situation.
No.
Well, let me finish the statement first. I know for a fact that we got two MFT bond, 2 grants. I think we're $115,000 apiece, and we just got those like in May and August or something. And it's for a specific project, but we are getting grant money. So I just want you to clear up that. But to go back to say that challenging us for to make sure that fire hydrants done, that's a work in progress right now. So I mean, we are getting some things, well, soon, next month or so. I always thought we should have got it a long time ago, but you know, we have put our due diligence in getting this stuff. We didn't get the paperwork in order for us to do what we had to do. But I'm just saying that, you know, this has been a 20-year problem in the making, and of course, it's a health and safety issue along with a lot of other things. And and nobody was giving us any information in order to get these things done. How can you have, in other words, looking like this, you can't have infrastructure repair unless you get some money. Now, it doesn't make any sense. We got that $943,000 they said that was coming, but you know we didn't get that. It's supposed to be like $500,000 for the 500 repairs from the state. Never got that. So why would you have a meeting for that? You know you're not going to get anything fixed. If you hadn't came up with the $100,000, we wouldn't have got that fixed. So why are we having all these meetings for money and not going to get any money?
Well, let me answer this, what you're saying, trustee. And this the part about being innovative. You have $100,000 and you say you're going to Robertson Engineering.
No, I didn't say it. Somebody else sent it to them.
Okay, Robertson Engineering is doing a bidding or whatever.
Yeah.
But my challenge is, why can't we use that $100,000 in-house? You get more bang for your buck. If like my wife called me frugal. There's a difference between frugal and cheap. Because cheap means you don't worry about quality. If we only got X amount of dollars to work with, to your point, been 20 years in the making, why not figure out the maximum way to spend this $100,000?
Well, that was the mayor's suggestion. Because I was going to do, you gave me three different.
Let me go back.
Okay.
The mayor suggested that because it's over $20,000, and for $20,000 you have to put it out for bid.
And I put 3 bids
it was
out.
never brought, that I know of, to the mayor to look at alternative. This is one of those conversations that I think before it came out here to the residents to say we have $100,000 and this is what we want to do, there's a discussion among the individuals to figure it out. Like, if we want to fix fire hydrant, find it like you just said, I gave you the 3 companies to call and get a quote on. Mr. Finch, what can we spend $100,000 on? And let's figure that out before we go out to bid. Get it done in-house. Like I said, why can't our guys do it and do overtime? That's to me a win-win. Most people want to make extra money, but that's never proposed to them. Then yes, you're going to spend money and get less work done. 2, the MFT. I can't explain why the village hasn't used the MFT fund to do a lot of the work that you said has not been done. Because that money comes every month.
Yeah.
So it's there. But again, there's no plan of action. You know, just like the gentleman who asked me on Facebook. I told him, I said, if you want me to give you a plan of action, come to the body and tell them to make me a consultant. I can give you a plan of action and how to get this done and how to execute it. And I would do it if I get it done, and what I save you compared to what you're about to spend, pay me the difference.
Okay.
So that's the challenge when I say you guys been working on it, yes, but it's only, let's do it this way. This way is not always the only way or even the best way. So you got $100,000, get more than 17 fire hydrants fixed. You got $100,000 in CNN fund, get some houses boarded up. You
we got the trees cut.
You got workers to do it. All I'm saying, make them work.
Okay. Well, let me tell you, the people from the state that monitor the MFT funds, they say they have like $1.8 million in that fund. I know that's not true, but the audit that should have been done does not have a lot of closeout letters, so we really don't know what the bottom line is. And I think that we might have a few extra bucks in there, because most of it is general maintenance. But I'm saying that if we don't know how much money we got, we don't know how much money to ask for, therefore we can't get the information from you or whoever, So at what point do we say, okay, I want this, I want that, and then next thing you know, oh, we don't have any money, the money's been gone. So, because we really don't know what's in there, like the MFT
You
fund.
get the cash report every 2 weeks.
That's what you give me. I'm talking about what the state gave me. The state tells me I got $1.8 million. I know it's not true.
Let me explain something to you, Trustee. If my wife getting a bonus in December, she don't spend it now. She spends it when it hits our bank account in December. Don't worry about what the state may or may not give you. Go with what you have cash in hand, because cash is king. So if I'm telling you, you got $542,000, then I'm saying, go sit with your department head, the public works director, and say, how much of this do you have already allocated? Because
That's
again,
what we did.
back to the budget. He knows how much he want to spend on certain MFT-related expenses. Then you take that number, okay, this is what I got left over. So let's say hypothetically, he said it's $50,000. Then you can say, okay, you got $50,000 left over. Finance director, how much do we get every month? She probably gonna say $20,000 to $30,000. Then you can say, you know what? I'm not gonna touch the 50 that's left over. I just want to spend $20,000 that we normally get every month. That's a start here on something small, but gradually build. But if you're not having that conversation, you don't know.
I'm having the conversation. That's what I'm telling you.
With me,
right there.
I'm not going to allocate the funds.
Okay.
But I do think is that let's think of a way to maximize this money. I still go back to the $1.2 million. No one has. You and I talked last night, and I said this. I said, well, it was approved to give people wish lists. It was brought up that certain people didn't get their wish list. The first thing I said to you, why was a wish list given when you said to me you had all these personal issues with the village that need to be taken care of? No employee should got a wish list if you ain't got the stuff over here fixed. It blows my mind that if my house ain't together, I'm gonna buy a brand new car. Fix my house first. That's the mindset that has to change.
Okay.
Everybody got what they want because they individual silos. But again, it's the residents losing out because y'all not. It's the same old broken record. This been going on. This been going on. This been going on. When do you fix it? That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's my attempt to fix it. You know, because I'm finding out where the money is, and we're making progress and getting some things fixed. I mean, that's what trustees do. You know, we're getting the money in and we're fixing it. So, I don't know.
Any other questions?
I have one. I didn't know this was a rebuttal, but it looks like that's what it came to. I was here. I think Ms. Couch maybe thought she was, educating me on how this works. I know how it works, but thank you anyway. I was here when the question was raised about the $250,000 and the allegation was made as to who took it, and even implied that they put it in a personal fund. So after going back and forth, it was the mayor. The mayor didn't steal nothing. He's not a thief. He's not. And they know it too. But they're playing politics with our lives. You can tell me it's raining while you're pissing on my head all you want. I know the difference, okay? I ain't trying to hear none of that. I'm trying to get some resolve here because my life is at stake. And so is the other citizens here. So after that argument went back and forth for so long, then you suggested that we do a forensic audit. But they still had to agree on whether that's what they wanted to do. As a matter of fact, Ms. Brewer, you were one of the main ones with the accusations. I'm going to put that out there because I was here. Okay? I don't hold her responsible for the fire hydrants. I think she's a fine lady. She's just not doing her job.
Did you say it was me?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay,
But
all right.
I'm talking to you, sir. Okay, so she needs to put that mic down right now and be respectful. Because when they called my name, I didn't say a word.
I didn't hear you. I just wanted to make sure you were calling my name.
I'm talking to
Hold on just a second.
Finch.
Hold on, just 1 second. Hold on. We've been here almost 2 hours. And I'm just anxious to see if you have any more finance information you want to bring, because it is getting to a back and forth. So that's what I wanted to find out.
Okay, let Mr. Larry finish his point, and then I'll say what I want to say.
Okay, we're not going to, I don't want this back and forth, because now it's getting disrespectful.
Yes, sir. And I apologize.
So I just want to make sure that this was for a reason, not to sit here and air off or whatever, go back and forth and point fingers and stuff. We're trying to hear facts. So if that's going to happen, then I'm going to say, hey, we're going to have to go. But I'm hoping that we can still get some facts that's going to help us move the village forward financially and find out where we're at financially. That's what I thought this was going to be. But if it's going to go to a back and forth session, then we're going to cut that.
Yes, sir. And again, I apologize, ma'am, to you too, Ms. Couch, if I offended you. Anyway, my point is this. It doesn't matter who did what. I don't care about who ordered the forensic audit. It stifled us a bit. Maybe we did get a grant or two. But I know that if you can find money in that budget to continually pay an attorney for doing something basically he should have been doing for free like 4 years, you can find money to make me safe in my own home. I don't care about all the ins and outs about how these fire hydrants came to be broken. They're probably dry rotted now. They've been out in the disrepair for so long, for so many years. Excuses is only making the matter worse. What I'm concerned with, and I don't care who's responsible for it, but I know that my current trustees has the ability to come together and take some money from one fund, get some fire hydrants done. We're in October, and we still talking about we gonna do it. We only got a month and a half before this year is up officially. I don't see it getting done. And so don't think I'm the kind of person that you can just tell me anything when I can see. I don't go on what I hear, I go on what I see, the action. The footwork has to match the words in order for it to be true with me. If you're telling me your head is south but your feet are pointed north, there's a lie being told or a deception made. What I'm concerned with for my family and for my neighbors, because we're all family here in the village, and even these trustees live in the village should be just as concerned about our safety and welfare as we are. You're charged with their responsibility. Find the money. Fix these fire hydrants and get rid of the excuses to do it. We need to be secure in our own home. We don't need to be caught asleep at night and some, God forbid, it happens to start burning and they get there and there's no water.
Well, I think I agree with you. The challenge that I have is my aggressive tone. I'm not the village administrator here, and I've been told that. I could have been a village administrator here, but I chose not to, so let me put that out on record. But I do think that I'm not one for excuses. Military teachers, everybody have excuses, they like buttholes, everybody have one. I just, for me, I'm frustrated because I hear it all the time. It's action, getting results done. Again, I'm gonna say, why can't we pay the people that got the experience that's already employed in the village, just go out and do 10, pick 10. I said it last night, I don't think the contractor's gonna come in and do it. One, you're paying extra money. So if one hand we don't have money or we're taking out of the water fund, there's a way to do it cheaper. In my role as a finance director, even in my role as a village administrator in Linwood, I'll find the best way to get it done and still produce the best results. That's what I'm challenging the residents, the mayor, and the board to figure out the best solution. To your point, that's how I am. I don't care less about the past. I don't care less about the political party. Run on your merits. If you're going to play politics, and I think it's a noble thing to become a politician, I'll never be, because I have to worry about trying to be measured with my words. I'm not going to do that. But when you hear that over and over again, and you see the findings in the audit over and over again, you have to ask yourself, why? Who's going to fix it? That's what frustrated me with the conversation we heard earlier about here with Trustee Brewer. I know we are fixing stuff, but it's a process, because we weren't here the last 10 years to mess it up. But until you are willing to say, this is what I want done, you hear, and it's the political piece of it, so I'm sorry about this. It's the mayor won't let me do it. It's the board won't let me do it. Well, that's not true, because everybody have a voice. That's why I asked the question. If you disagree with the ordinance, why did you vote for it? So if I want to be an individual and I say, I presented a proposal that is going to cost X, Y, and Z, and everybody else voted down, when you start putting people on spot, it's amazing how when the spotlight on, people change. It's like roaches, they're gonna scatter. So if you guys as residents really want it done and you feel $17,000 to $100,000 is too much money to spend on 17, have somebody tell you what alternative do you have. You guys not doing that, have not done it, because there's so much that can be done, and there's no more excuses. I put money in the water account with the rest of the team. That's more than what it was last year. I put an extra $20,000 in the general account that was never there. So there's money. If you say it's $2,500, $3,000 to fix a fire hydrant, well, that $20,000 that did not exist, that's $6,000 that wasn't there. That's money that wasn't even accounted for. Not in nobody's budget or nothing. So it's the will. Where's the will? So to answer your question, that's my concern. I genuinely feel like you guys need it. So, like I said, the gentleman on Facebook asked me what I was doing about it. I try to tell him. I've never been a laborer. I could barely tell you a hammer and a nail to go together. So, but at the same time, we have to decide what we're gonna do, put together a plan and execute it. You guys should come here and say, where we at? Where we on this one? Where we on that one? I don't think everything has to go to RFP. I definitely don't think everything has to go to the attorneys. Because again, you're spending more money. But collectively as adults, I'm sure we can talk and figure out how to get this done without doing it. I'll give you an example. Last summer, I went and got some bids because I heard the resident. Unbeknownst to the mayor, I got 3 bids for a street. Came back, $40-something thousand. I was told we can't outsource because the agreement's gonna be filed. I'm like, but the resident just said there's major potholes. That baffled my mind. But then here we are a year later, that pothole's still there. Why? It's on you guys. I don't hold the board, I don't hold the mayor, none of them accountable or fault them. I hold the residents. You guys voted them in, so make them do what you think they should be doing. And that's getting up there and not talking about the mayor won't do this, the board won't do this. This is what I want. And every week, come and ask them one by one, trustee, are you doing this? Trustee, are you doing that? And you might be surprised if things change. You ask the finance director, do we have money? Trustee Brewer just said we don't have money. I give a report every 2 weeks. You want a copy of the accounts payable list? Get a copy of the cash report. It shows every money that's in there. And I personally sign off on it saying, as of this day, I attest, this is how much money we have in our bank account. So when they say ain't no money, then, because I was at one point in time,
I'm just saying how much money we had.
I'm not talking about you, Trustee Brewer, I'm just talking to you in general.
Trustee Brewer. Oh,
Okay.
So you guys have to do it.
Okay. Mr. Finch, I have a question before we wrap this up. First of all, I hear that we're going to get fire hydrants done. And you have a plan about if the Public Works can do it, we can get 2 done a month. We have home. I invested in this community, not once, twice in this community. And I have a home over there, and I'm concerned about my fire hydrants. So how in the world can you tell me that we're going to put in the budget to action plan 17 when there's 67? What are the other 50 people going to do, or the 50 of the other residents that have those 50 that are left over? If you can't tell me that you can fix all of the fire hydrants all at the same time, I don't want to do a piecemeal.
Well,
I've been here 38 years, and we're talking about the same things from 38 years ago because people don't want to change. And, Ms. Couch, you don't sit on a committee with me. I married the man, I didn't marry the position. Thank you very much. Now, and you can't tell me I can get my fire hydrants and those dead-ass trees cut down. I don't want to hear about no piecemeal. Get a bond, get the trustees, get all the financial wizardry that they have, and get it done once and for all. If you got to sink this village to fix sidewalks, fire hydrants, trees, a light, then that's what we need to work towards. But you don't go out there and fix 2 people's fire hydrants a month, and you telling somebody, in my lifetime, I may not see my fire hydrant fixed because Public Works got to go behind the union. I'm really upset about that. So let's get it done. Let's think of another way, because 17 fire hydrants getting fixed, and it's already almost November, is not the answer.
I agree with you. That wasn't my recommendation. It wasn't even asked of me what I thought about it. I did provide 3 companies back in the summer to come out and give bids so that we wouldn't have that issue. But at the same time, it's a matter of will. We have the money. A lot of things that were discussed last summer was about the water fund. I keep saying it. We got $1.2 million. We did not have $1.2 million. Take it out of the water fund. It's water fund, fire hydrant. They kind of go together. That's not my decision. That's why I told a gentleman on Facebook, I'm not the guy to make the decision. I just tell you where the money is and what we have and what we don't have. So I think you should get it done, but that's not my call. If again you want me to get it done, I would more than gladly be your consultant and be your project management and show you how to get it executed.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Can you tell me, we just recently paid off the bond for the Village Hall?
Yes.
Last year?
Yes.
Okay, what was the annual payment on the bond? $636,000 annually.
Yes.
So that's a payment we did not have to make this past year. So that saved the village $662,000.
No.
That's what I'm asking.
No.
It didn't say, that money was levied to every household, every property owner.
Okay, but I mean, we did not have to pay a bond payment.
No.
Right, so, right, because the word bond has been tossed about tonight. Okay, I agree that we do need, in order to do significant changes in the village, we do need a bond. There's no doubt about it. We can't do it on day-to-day operations, and we can't do it with the staff that we currently have. Get everything done at one time. All the streets can't get repaired at one time. All the fire hydrants can't get repaired at one time. All the street lights can't get repaired at one time. I do agree. The best thing to do is to attack it with a bond. We paid off the major bond we had with the Village Hall. So that's a great idea, which I think some of us have already talked about. But my question to you is the other thing that was talked about a bond. You said we can't get a bond because of the audits are behind. I want to ask you a question. Put the forensic audit to the side. Can we finish the 18-19 audit? It's still not done. It's been in the works for 5 or 6 months. And there are still a lot of things hanging out from the 18-19 audit. So getting the 18-19 audit done has absolutely nothing to do with the forensic audit, in my opinion, because the forensic audit is totally separate. We're doing 2 separate audits at the same time.
Yes.
So how is the forensic audit holding up the 18-19 audit? I know you can't finalize it until the forensic audit from 17-18 is done. Right. But is it in a position to have a preliminary presented as final that we can hold on to once the forensic audit is done? Think about what I just said. What I'm asking you is, are you in a position to finish the 18-19 audit right now today, have nothing to do with the forensic audit? Because then we could put a preliminary in place and immediately start working on 19-20. But from what I've been told, we are not prepared to finish either audit because our finances are not in order. Right. I'm not blaming anybody. No. We know a lot of it has to do with the software, and a lot of it has to do with other things. But my question is, are you prepared to do an 18-19 preliminary final audit? Have you given everything to the auditors? Could it be done? Because is a bond the right way to go? More than likely, yes.
So to answer your question, no, and I think I was saying that to Mr. Larry earlier. The audit is not done. It probably a good best 50% done. Now, when I was talking to Mr. Larry, I don't think we should have to go for a bond right now. It's going to cost a lot to do everything, but that analogy of to get to 10, you have to get to 1. What I'm saying, let's start with 1. Yes, we can't do all the fire hydrants, all the potholes, all the street lights, all the branches. But the problem that I see, we're not starting with neither one of those 4. So I'm saying, let's start, at least have some kind of movement with the money that we know we have, and then eventually with the 2018-19 bond, as we get that, 18-19 audit, we can apply for different grants and things that's out there. And even getting a bond, the resident has to vote on that. And to the mayor's point, they have to vote that you're going to increase my taxes.
Absolutely.
So the bond, if you remember, I never when I was speaking to Mr. Larry, said we should get a bond. I think spend the money we have, get a grant, and if we get to a point where we need more money, then it's incumbent upon the finance team to say, hey, we need X amount of dollars to finish this project. Are we going to take it out of the waterfront? Because I'm a firm believer that with the $1.2 million that we have in that account, if we take $100,000 to $150,000, we can make a dent in either the fire hydrant, the potholes, the branches, or something. And then next year's budget, which is just a few months away, do the same process.
But that discussion was held, not once, but twice or 3 times. Yes, we do have the money to do it. Yes, we should start doing it now, absolutely. And no, we cannot afford to wait until we can do it all at one time. But we do need to get it started. But my question to you was, could you finish the 18-19 audit if we weren't doing a forensic audit right now? Would we be able to? No.
The forensic,
just put that
the forensic audit does not stop us, the finance team, from doing the regular audit.
Thank you, because I think people think that because we started a forensic audit, that we're withholding the 18-19. That's not true.
No, the forensic audit does not stop the work of the 18-19 audit.
Thank you.
The finance team has to provide information to both auditors.
Right.
What's not going to happen, the auditors are not going to sign off and give a report to the residents when the audit is complete until the forensic audit is done. But it does not stop us from working on the regular audit as well as the forensic audit at the same time.
I think residents are under the impression that the forensic audit is holding up to 18.
No.
Holding up to 18.
So
what's holding us up from getting bonds or grants?
But even if the village goes out for bonds, the likelihood that we're gonna get brand new bonds, even with 18-19 audit complete, what's the likelihood that's gonna happen? When the last time the village actually got new bonds? They refinanced, refurbished, so I've got the right term, but basically refinanced some recent bonds, but when the last time they got new bonds, for maybe 2009, 2010? So that's, when you say bond, it's just that word is thrown out there so cavalier. It's not that simple. There's your credit, how you pay your bills, and all this other stuff. But I do believe, and you said it was talked about before. It was talked about, but then we had to do an RFP. I'm not saying do an RFP. I'm saying, why can't we make more people work? Like, if crime goes up, do we tell a policeman, don't do extra work? We don't. If more houses burn up, we don't tell the fire department, don't do it. The finance department, someone asked earlier, what's the issue? And I said, well, we kind of need more staff. Everybody understands. I'm not disputing that. But what I'm saying, let's, as a team, say, Public Works guys, you guys got the experience. The proposal that came over was, let the 2 senior Public Works guys, after 3:30, that's their role, fire hydrants. Hire 2 junior people. So with senior people getting overtime, 2 lower staff getting the lowest paid on the based on the contract, you still would pay less than $100,000 to get more than 17 fire hydrants done. Because maybe another week, everybody ain't gonna be cutting grass. So, not saying they don't have other stuff to do, but they got water shut off, they got potholes to fix. So the less skilled work that needs to be done, the new people, new temporary staff, villages do it all the time. They call 89-day workers. Put a goal in 90 days, because probably, like I said, between now and the end of the year, it's gonna be hard to get some stuff done. But if we put a goal and say between now, let's say start after Halloween. So if we hit fire hydrants very hard in the month of November and first week of December, how many fire hydrants can we get done? And challenge them. Heck, I don't know if we can do it with the contract, but say, hey, if we do 17 between now and the middle and end of December, we'll give you guys a bonus. It's still cheaper than $100,000. That's what I'm saying about thinking differently. And that's what people like myself as an accountant, our mind is wired where we look at solution to figure out the problem and not just say it's a problem. Because we can't put it under the rug. Like one of the words, we was talking with this auditor the other day, and we were talking about the cash account, and I inadvertently said plug. That's like cussing the auditor out, because they have to account for the money. So that's all I want the board and the residents to say. Let's figure out, can we realistically sit down with our public works director, sit down with our two foremen, sit down with the finance team, sit down with the mayor and say, and the village administrator, say, can you guys, overtime, not regular day, not your day-to-day stuff, but overtime, as if it's a part-time job, knock out 17.5. Because one thing they have that no contractor gonna have, they know the village. They ain't gotta figure out, is it this address or that address? They got parts already probably in some of the garages. They know which one, this one worse than that one. So I can knock out this one, because to your point, it might need some gel or some lube on it to make it work. I need this one. So there's a solution, but we're not having that conversation. That's all I'm saying. Then you spend that money. Then let's say, in the meantime, can a couple of you guys, what's the worst streets in the village? Let's fix that pothole, because we're about to have a bad winter, or whatever. There's a lot of options.
Sir, how long have you been, working for the village?
October, I started as a treasurer. Middle of February, I became interim finance director in 2018. So
2018 or 19?
19, I came interim.
Okay.
So really, 2 years combined this month.
Did we have any monies that we could possibly then put towards fire hydrants?
You always have water fund. The water fund never zero.
Okay, so at least for 4 years, we've had the monies to take care of this problem.
At least started.
To get started. Okay. I'm just trying to make a determination. So, and in your opinion, you think that we probably, at best, will get 3 done at the rate we're going now by the end of the year?
If you asking me, do I think?
Yeah, I'm asking you, yes, sir.
Yeah, because, and I'm hoping that's just me being skeptical. Because once you do an RFP, they got to go out, they're going to submit the bids. Then we got to come in and have Robinson Engineering open the bids. And then they're going to start the work. Unless we aggressively ask them to knock out these fire hydrants, they're going to schedule it out.
Okay.
But then it was brought up last meeting, what if they open up this one? And they think this is just a simple repair. And they get down and open it up and it's more work.
Okay.
But the one they're going to start on tomorrow, they can't start on it because they got to finish this one.
So
the time frame is based on the amount of work that got to be done, which is why I say it's easier for our guys to do it because there's no overruns. If they got to do it extra tomorrow, that per hour overtime is still cheaper than the $125, $130, $140 that these outside contractors charging us per hour.
wow, so you're saying possibly we won't get 17 fire hydrants done between now and, let's say, April the 6th?
April 6th?
Yeah.
If we have,
in other words,
if
I'm
we
trying
have a
to
bad
say,
winter,
we'll probably have new trustees before we'll get new fire hydrants.
I hope not.
I hope so.
Well, I think what happens to help answer that question, because I'm not the one doing the work, is when the RFPs come in, their scope of work should give you a time frame, how they think it's gonna, how long they think it's gonna take to do 17,500. Kind of like the auditors, they come in and say it's gonna take us 3 to 4 months, and then there's, unfortunately for us, we have delays because of the things that we have not provided them. But they will give you a gauge, yes. Any more? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Mr. Finch, Diane. What is the benefit of doing a forensic audit only going back 1 year?
To see if anything was done in that particular year. Does it, if you're asking, does it really dig into the meat and potato? It probably just touched the surface of it. But then now if you go further, you're asking for more costs. That's one reason I think once we get it done, hopefully it satisfies everybody. Both sides of the equation is done, it is what it is, and that conversation about the 250 and all those things can finally be laid to rest, that the finance are okay. There's nothing mischievous going on. There's no stealing of funds or anything of that nature. Because I think Once that is resolved, then hopefully collectively, both the board and the mayor, whoever it is as the board come next April, can move forward on a good plan of action to attack this. Because I'm still an advocate that you speak for what you have provided and what you have done, and that your efforts and your completion to the other residents stand on its own merits. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Can I just make one more final comment about the forensic audit? In my opinion, it was never about trying to find out who stole some money. In my opinion, it was about identifying past practices that we've been doing wrong for many, many, many years that our regular auditors have discovered, but that a forensic audit might be able to fine tune. And we did already say that a lot of it has to do with our software, which has been old for a long time, which we talked about replacing for a long time. But I think right now, until we get caught up with our finances to a point where we could change our software system, you can't change software system the way we are with our finances right now. We need to get to a point where we can comfortably convert to a new system. But I personally was never one that thought there was anybody stole any money or anything wrong that anybody had done. But residents and board members alike were looking for some identifying factors. We need to stop doing the same thing over and over again every year when it comes to our audits. That's my final statement.
And I think that's the biggest takeaway. There were a few trustees that had issue with improprieties, as well as some residents that questioned what was going on with the finances of the village. So I agree with that. That's why I feel like once it's done, however the cards may fall, I think they're going to fall to the side and say that nothing was done other than process and procedures not in place. That's going to be another charge to call the body and the mayor to say, are you willing to put process and procedures in place? For example, we have payroll and accounts payable as one person. What happens if the forensic audit says you need to have 2 people and you need to pay them $50,000 apiece? Is the mayor and the body going to be willing to say, okay? Or are they going to say, heck no, we only had 1 person for all these years. Now we're back to the same boat. Those are the decisions we're going to make going forward. Are you going to listen to the expert, or are you going to say past practice is what we're going to go in forward? Yes, ma'am. And I'll let this be the last one. Yes.
Yes, I was one of those people that pushed for the forensic audit because, as you know, I had a lot of material which I shared with you, and you said it yourself that this is not right. So, as a person who's supposed to be watching the money, yes, I have to get some answers. Okay, so there was no question, and I feel comfortable asking where the money was because money has been moved in and out of here without trustees' approval for years. That's it.
But you know what, trustee? No, let me say that. And I'm gonna agree with you. Money has been moved. But if you guys recall, I sat over there for many days, and I said, all you have to do is read the audit. I begged the trustees to read the audit. I told the residents to read the audit because what I truly believe, the forensic auditor is going to come back and say the same thing Miller Cooper is going to say. The only difference is we paid them more. We are paying them more probably than we paying Miller Cooper to do a village audit.
Okay. In addition to that, as you know, we have had a lot of turnover. Okay, Mohana's left, Suffen's left. In fact, we had Regal before then. So I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, it's common sense to say, well, some of this stuff is not right. Given the fact that civics is not user-friendly, also, we had to come and dig up some material that wasn't, that we had to look at. And then, we just didn't have the answers. We weren't given the answers.
But let me ask you, Trustee Brewer.
Until you came on board until April 2019, were we ever given any information? So I'm giving you kudos for that.
No, and I appreciate that. What I'm going to ask you is, what if the forensic auditors don't give you the information that you quote unquote seeking? Then what do we do next?
I'm going to look at whatever the forensic audit gives us, that, okay, that's fine, this is what we have. Because they'll give us some information and give us proof that it's there. You know, whatever we're looking for. And
Mr. Finch.
everything is balanced and all that sort of stuff.
If I may, Mr. Finch.
I mean, we're gonna take, what the forensic audit was saying.
Okay.
But you should
Take it for face
expect,
value.
trustees, and since we were new, to accept what's there when we knew all these people were coming in and out. The information was not given to us, so why would we take it? But anyway, that's my point. But the second thing about the, fire hydrant is that we don't do what we normally been doing, go out to RFP with Robinson Engineering, that we should come up with another way of doing stuff.
What I'm suggesting is, the trustees said last summer and part of this year to have the finance team cross-trained. The finance team are all salary. Ms. Couch just alluded to about doing their job, otherwise other people can do their job. I strongly believe in that. I just got done telling my police department basically the same thing. So I'm saying if that's good for the finance team, who are on salary, who if they work past 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, they get no extra money. I told y'all last month, I'm probably the only person, including the mayor, that can get my sisters to come in on a Saturday. That's free to them. So I'm saying if they are charged with cross-training, learning everybody's job, which when you ask the auditors is inappropriate, but that's a whole nother conversation, then why can't we take the people whose job is to fix fire hydrants, whose job allows them to get overtime? Why can't we ask them to do it instead of waiting on them to tell us they give us permission? See, my son can't tell me when he come into the house, because that's my house. And if he don't like it, he can get out to the same point. No, wait. That's the problem that I have with this body. They do not hold the same standard for all employees. And like I said, the firemen, they can't stop fixing fires, put out fires. The policemen, they can't stop doing crime, but you can't say, well, they understaffed. Everybody understaffed. So I'm saying, if you're going to spend $100,000, there's a better way of spending $100,000 to get 17 fire hydrants done. Well, this is the last question, because it's 8 o'clock.
That the union, that we have to address the union.
No, stop. No, trustee Brewer. So you are telling me you have to get permission from the union for somebody to work overtime?
No, the fire hydrants.
Is that not their job?
That's not my job.
No. Listen to my question.
Okay. Hold on. We're going back to this, going back and forth. Is there anything else that you want to share?
I think he had one last question. Yeah.
Okay. So
keep it short so I can.
Mr. Finch, I'll keep this short. I'll keep this brief. First, thank you for taking your time at this meeting and your previous talk with the treasurer. I think this is very beneficial to residents to hear it from your perspective and the point of view of the finance team. Under your tutelage and your direction, I think that's where the information should come from. One other thing, you stated that most of the answers were in the normal annual audit that every municipality must do by municipal law. Can you tell me and everybody else here, how much does it cost a village or a municipality to do a forensic audit, and how much does it cost to do a normal audit? That's it. Thank you.
We normally pay roughly about $65,000 for the regular audit. Depending on how long the forensic audit goes, it could be close to $100,000. So at the very least, we're paying both auditors $65,000 apiece. So that's it. So just to let you guys know, I don't know if the finance team is going to charge penalties going forward, that's a decision that the mayor, the finance director, and the village administrator needs to make. We are going into the month of the year that revenue that comes in are typically real slow. So if you look at the agent report, you probably see vendors that's gonna go past 30, 40 days past due. That's one of the things, to Ms. Washington asked me how we pay payroll, is because you monitor cash flow. So if you see vendors getting delayed in payment, that's for that reason, because typically this time of year money comes in slowly. The other thing, it was mentioned, I did get a raise, a retro pay that I'm not afraid to let the residents know, and it was $10,000. It was regarding the position of the treasurer. Again, I took this position because I thought it would be maybe 2 weeks, 3 months at the most. I didn't know I was going to be here this long in the position, because when I was mentioned it to me, it was pretty much come in and square away payroll the week that I started. With that being said, there's been conversation that money combined with what I got paid as interim finance director was quote unquote kind of double dipping or going over budget. I did an analysis yesterday. Myself, the previous finance director, both previous finance director and myself, collectively, again, verifiable, made less than what was allocated for just the finance director position. So think about that. Myself, as a treasurer, as an interim finance director, previous to me, as a treasurer, and the previous finance director. So what's that? 5 different positions made less than what was allocated in the FY19 budget. Those are the conversations that I dislike when it's implied. So if it comes out on social media or whatever, there you have it. I told you what's actually going on. It's verifiable. I've never been one to disagree with what one person should make. Yes, ma'am.
Would you mind, for the record, letting people know how you knew you were actually entitled?
Oh, sure. I had, as I said, I talked to a lot of trustees outside of work. I met with Trustee Williams on a Saturday about another matter. In that conversation, she mentioned to me about my pay. So that's how it was brought to my attention. Trustee Williams brought that to my attention, and then I subsequently processed the paperwork that got processed, and that's how I got the money for retro pay. I just don't let my wife know. But thank you. Hopefully this has been helpful. I'm here for you guys, but yes, I think we gotta be thinking differently.
I'm glad to see you guys.